Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journeys from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformations. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning and welcome to Life Transformation Radio. I am your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 70 countries, such as the United States, Sweden, Norway, all across Europe, and across Asia and New Zealand and Australia. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that has changed our lives and how we use this to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. Now, you can listen to us live right here on Blog Talk Radio Network on Tuesdays through Fridays around 11 to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Join us as we go live with our amazing guests. You can also join our Facebook community, a Life Transformation Radio community, where we have conversations with the guests that I bring on the show and take the show into that group. Now, I ask that you subscribe wherever you are comfortable listening to podcasts. We are on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, the Google Play Music app, the Himalaya podcast app. We are everywhere. So please subscribe wherever you are comfortable listening to shows. On the show, I bring on entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, other podcast hosts, and authors, or amazing people who are impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of my guests that I bring on the show, this is a live show. So call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number 657-383-1109, and my team is standing by to field the calls and get you on the show. So please help me welcome to the show my friend Alexis Ray. Hey, Alexis, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you, Sean. Delighted to be here.
I am super excited that I get to return the favor of having you on my show because I was a guest on yours, and it was amazing. Amazing show. That's
because you're a great guest. It's easy with you.
You know, and it's like, I don't know, like, yeah, it was like easy because I feel like whenever I go on a show, it's like I'm a host, you're a host, like we know the deal, right? Like we know the flow, we know how to, conduct like a great interview, and it's been like that every podcast that I go on with this host that also guests on other shows. It's like the energy is just amazing. And so, yeah, I loved being a guest on your show.
Oh, it was a blast. I want to do it again. I'm sure there's more in there I haven't pulled out yet.
Oh, gosh, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, you're just such a bold mover, Sean. You really are, and you're shaking it up all the time. And I love what you do. And featuring the successes of people like you and the intentions every day that you set out there to be able to feature that is my honor. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. So I'm excited to jump into this because you've done some bold moves yourself.
Yeah, you reckon?
I really want to get into that. So this episode is titled Bold Moves with podcast host Alexis Ray. She is an explorer, a world traveler, and adventurer. After making better Rice Krispie treats than grades at the University of Florida, she switched gears and earned a bachelor's in 3 years, graduating summa cum laude from Johnson & Wales University. The degree has given her confidence to live as much as possible by what would be the most fun next. The answer came after working as a chef on the set of Northern Exposure. Alexis has created 4 talk shows, propelling her message on the singles comedy show Cougar Talk Radio in Charleston, South Carolina, Success Talk Show, The Big Yes, in Seattle, Washington, and Living Dreams interview series broadcast on television. She has been a featured guest on both the Steve Harvey Show and Tyra Banks Show. Currently, she hosts the podcast Bold Movers and Shakers. A wild variety of guests share their best story of boldness in motion. With experience equivalent to a PhD in rotational physics, Alexis has turned her life around on every level. That is what it took to transmute the pain of childhood abuse, depression, domestic violence, homelessness, and an addiction-centered lifestyle into literally, she's an entirely new person. You can go to her website, www.thealexisray, R-A-Y, thealexisray.com. She also has another website, www.promotionalangles.com. Her Facebook page, her regular profile, and her group are all there in the show notes, and connect with her on LinkedIn as well. So with all of that said, Alexis, I got to know, what is your why? What is your deep why for what you do?
I would like to say that it was a singular thing. It's actually a couple of things I realized. And you know what? Life Transformation Radio was in my living room this morning. I was like, hang on, there's more than one step here. And I was going through transformation. I was like, holy cow, there's been a couple of points, and I didn't even realize it, Sean. But one of them, yes, it really was, after all the work I've done, how did I miss this? And so what I realized is that back in the day, way back in the day when I was a kid, nobody was in my corner. And it's really heartbreaking when, you know, your parents tease you worse than the kids at school. And so what I realized, it was better at school than home. And that, you know, with nobody in my corner, I became, you know, really like insecure, whatever. What I realized though, is it transfers over to being, I'm like a cheerleader for the underdog. I mean, I'm just so happy to be there for someone else. And it shows up when I do work on one-to-one, especially for those who are isolated, lonely, you know, executives, for instance, they really are there. So that's part of the why of what I do, is because nobody was in my corner. And I wasn't accepted for who I was. And I'm wildly accepting of people. Let your freak flag fly, baby, because I'm okay with that. Completely.
I love it.
I'm serious. I actually enjoy it. The more colorful, the better. And it transforms people. Being able to say, I really want to wear, I don't know, makeup, and it's a guy. And I'm like, cool, let me show you some tips. It's like, I've seen people's face just completely change. Like, really? It's okay? You don't think I'm totally weird? I'm like, no, man, do your thing. It's all good.
That's awesome.
But, yeah. And then, you know, moving forward, at 14, I knew I had to undo everything. I couldn't possibly be a parent unless I undid everything that had been done, so I wouldn't be my mother to a child. So that was a, you know, revelation in itself. I'd been a mini mom already, and moving forward, there was a really significant event. It's why I have my birthday page on Facebook, because around birthdays, stuff comes up. But especially ages 28 to 31, there's a special kind of phase that happens for us, happens again at 58 to 60. And, so here I am. You want to hear the story or just the bottom line? How much time we got home?
No, we're good. Yeah, we're talking about transformation, and this is where we share our story.
Well, man, I'll tell you what. I was babysitting, and thank goodness the youngster was inside, far removed from the fire pit, because the babysitter, I, was sitting at the fire pit lamenting that it was 2 months past my birthday, and I still hadn't heard from my parents again. And I didn't want to be that person, you know, at 31. I wanted to be free of caring. And yet I found, you know, tears are pouring down my face. I'm like, gosh, once again, I'm disappointed. And I remembered a story about, and this was a landmark case. Now, this is 1994.
Okay.
It was a landmark case in which a brother and sister had been granted separation. They literally divorced themselves from their parents. The parents had been proven, to be, obviously, bad parents, and abusiveness and all that, prevailed. So the judge said, "Okay, I'm going to grant you guys this," and the brother and sister moved off on their own, and they were underage, which is why the judge was involved. And then I remembered, I'm feeling really tied in. Maybe I can use this example of separating myself. And so I wrote it down. I'm making it up, man. I'm just desperate for answers. And so I wrote down on a piece of paper, I hereby divorce myself from my family. And I wrote it up, and I'm holding it, and I'm crying. And I was like, well, now what do people do? And I was like, well, they burn stuff. So I threw it in the fire pit, and I was watching it burn up. And I was like, well, I don't feel a whole lot better yet. When does that part happen?
Wow.
So then I said, well, there's a story in a book I love, Mutant Message Down Under, in which a woman went on a walkabout with the Aborigine in Australia. And she gave lots of tales and accounts, but this one stood out in my mind, and that was that the Aborigine choose a name for themselves based on the talent and trait that they give their value to the tribe. And let's say, Sean, you felt that you were a hunter. That's what you did. And so they would celebrate, and your name would be Hunter. And then later, if you felt like you were a great hunter, they'd celebrate again, probably dance around a fire, and your name would become Great Hunter. And as your life went on, and you felt that you had another trait to offer the tribe, you became your name. Your name is who you are, what you bring to the tribe. And that really stuck out in my head in that moment as I'm watching those pages curl up in the fire. And I thought, well, I've been doing a lot of studies, 10 years. I've been, at that point, 10 years of personal growth and even studying metaphysics and all kinds of spirituality, whatever I could get my hands on. I said, well, let's see. I know that light, as in enlighten, light is information. So I'm going to pick the last name Ray, because that's real easy, because people were messing up my last name before. I was like, really? It's a 4-letter word. Can you not get that right? G-I-S as in Sam T. Gist, like the gist of the story, the bottom line.
Right.
No, nobody could get it. So I changed it in my head to Ray. And then I remembered if I'd ever had a daughter, I would have named her Alexis. And so I went into the house, and I pulled a dictionary. Yeah, that's how long ago this was. Pulled a dictionary off the shelf. Thank God the baby's still asleep. Run back out to the fire pit, and I look up. The root of Alexis comes from Alexander the Great, and it means helper of mankind. And as messed up as I was at that time, Sean, something in me knew that that's what I came to do. And so I decided to change my name, and every time I sign it, I would write A. Ray, and think of light. Well, now that's all well and good, sitting there at the fire pit, wiping mascara off my eyes and stuff. When it came time to do it, though, it was really unnerving. Going to the courthouse and noticing everybody else having the right reason. I'm getting separated, Judge, or whatever. Okay, my number came up, and it was just like shaky knees walking down this wooden plank to the judge's desk, which was elevated, so it was even more intimidating. And she's looking down at me, kind of like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, with the fire and stuff. And I could practically hear the, how dare you? And I was so scared. Yeah. And I look up at her, and she goes, why do you want to change your name? And I said, I like it better. She pulled her gavel up, banged it down, said, bang, approved. I said, you like it too? She goes, yeah, it's a cool name. I was like, okay, now what? Go down to Social Security, give them this paper. Next. And it was that simple, or so I thought. Because the next year or 5 of sticking your hand out and introducing yourself as a different name can bring all kinds of reactions. So you really have to be strong in who you are, because comments like, oh, what's it going to be next week? Fairy dust tree hugger? I mean, what are you doing?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So I claimed who I was, And interestingly enough, it had been muscle tested. If anybody knows, do you know what kinesiology is? Where you muscle test for truth in your body.
I've never heard of that. No.
Oh, well, it's a wonderful way to test.
What's it called?
Kinesiology or muscle testing. And what you do is you put your arm out to the side, and the other person will take 2 fingers, that's all, and push down on your hand. And you should be able to resist them if the thought you have is true. And if it's not true, your arm falls like a noodle. And I was interviewing someone. Dr. Poulos was amazing. Helped so many people. And Canadian hockey team from zero to hero. And, he was amazing. And I was interviewing him at his place in Canada. And he said, let's do this. And I said, okay, let's do this. And he said, tell me a truth. And I said, my name is Lori Marie Gist. And my arm fell like a noodle. And I said, hang on, that's not supposed to happen. He said, well, let's do it again. And I said what my name was. And my arm fell like a noodle. And I pulled back and I said, like, look, man, I know you get a lot of respect, but right now I'm feeling like you're voodoo. What the heck? What was that? And he said, I don't know, but that's not your name. Like, yeah, it is. It really freaked me out. And believe me, I wasn't thinking all that night at the fire pit. But it is what happened. And apparently it was destiny. That all those times I wrote Lorinda or Cindy instead of Lori on my test papers in school as a kid, I really knew that my name wasn't my name. I just didn't know what it was.
Huh.
So what happened at that? Go ahead.
I think that's very interesting because I had Sharon Lynn Wyeth, who I would love to introduce you to and get her on your show. She was on last month's episode. I believe it was 196. She is a namology expert. She's literally a namology expert. And I asked her specifically, not even knowing that you were going to talk about this, but I asked her, I said, well, there's a lot of other Sean Douglases in the world. Like, I mean, is it always the same for the person? She goes, for the most part, like if your name is this name, then this is like what you are here to do. Like this is your mission. This is your life. Like, okay, so we all have the same mission in life, whatever. She goes, I was like, so what if I change my name? What if I don't want to be Sean Douglas anymore? What if I change my name? And she goes, aha. She goes, if you change your name, it becomes the how. So your name is what you are meant to do. And so far, if you don't change your name, then what your mission is and your how is kind of all wrapped up. She goes, but when you change your name, that new name is the how of how you will complete your mission. Like, very interesting. I think that you two would have an amazing conversation about that.
I think so. I can see this
really do.
Lasting for hours. Yeah.
Yeah, I will definitely connect you. Definitely connect you with her.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, don't be. No, that's all good. It's all good. So my deep why is it's sort of summed up as you're not alone. There's someone in your corner, and so I'm making up for that. I guess that's what we do, isn't it? We
sure.
The depth of our darkness and our pain is really the extent of the lightness that we can have. And so by transforming even just the thought about what happened, all the crap that happened, oh my gosh, and look at it differently. To really like embody it and realize, okay, that was supposed to happen. Don't really get why, but delete the need to understand, and acceptance is the key to peace. And so,
yeah. I talk a lot about that, about acceptance, and a lot of times we don't want to accept the things that happens to us. No. We would much rather block it out. And so I did a TEDx talk back in 2017, and I just posted a small clip about it because I see people right now literally dwelling on the things that happen in life. And they become so paralyzed by it, they don't move on. And it's so sad to watch people like, well, I can't believe this person wronged me, or I can't believe this person stabbed me in the back, or I can't believe this person did this or this or this to me, and I can't believe that, And so, if they fail, they don't get past failure. They don't get past the things that they need to get past. And so they plant their address and they plant their mailbox in their despair or in their adversity or in their pain. That's what they do. So acceptance isn't just accepting, this is my lot in life and I can't go any further. Like, that's not the acceptance part. The acceptance comes where I am having these thoughts and feelings. I need to address these, and then I can move on. The moving on part is what people forget. Accepting, like, you don't have to like what happened to you. You don't have to like the things that have ruined your life, so to speak. However, acceptance just says that, hey, it happened. This happened. And I see this in victims all the time with, like, sexual assault or just assault in general or domestic violence. They don't want to accept what is happening. But once you accept, like, this happened, this event doesn't define me, this event happened, and I accept it, and then be proactive in moving on. I think acceptance is so huge.
It really is. And the opposite is also true, that what you resist persists. And so what I try to do, you've got, reframing what happened as if a pencil fell off the table, a pencil falls off the table. I'm going to use this crazy thing off the cuff. What does it mean? Oh, my God, the pencil fell off its table. It doesn't mean anything. A pencil fell off the table. Well, on a bigger level, the same thing is true. I mean, we assign meaning to everything. And it took me a long time to let go of what the heck, and not being able to accept what happened. Well, acceptance will propel a person faster forward than anything I know. Even if you don't agree with it, you don't have to like it. You don't nothing. You don't
100%.
have to. Right? Yeah. So acceptance is the key to peace, and what is what shows up, and what you make of it is up to you. And so I call these pithy one-liners mindset resets, because there's wisdom in simplicity, and you can do a single, one moment you're feeling down, and the next you can switch it around, because happiness is a head trip. That's all it is.
Oh yeah.
So what are you telling yourself about what's happening? And so one of the things that I like to work with, Sean, is people, stud, friend, or foe. Who gets to stay? Who's got to go? Because if you've been through, it's the name of my class. I like to rhyme. I found out Dr. Seuss and I have a lot in common, including life paths. For real. That was just yesterday. We never stop learning. But being able to suss out people in advance before they can, run your foot over twice, and then blame you for it. That takes a special level of skill and observation, and I want to offer that up because it's encouraging and empowering when you realize that you're not just always going to be, bashed in the head, so to speak. It doesn't have to be that way forever. Your past doesn't equal your future. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And I always tell people, like, you have the power to say this is not how my story ends. You do.
Yeah.
Nobody else.
Yeah.
You do. You have the ability to turn the page and write a new chapter. If you don't like something, change it. I have a friend, Stan Williams. We were resilience trainers together in the military before he retired. And, he always said that there's two things in life you cannot get mad at. Things you can change and things you cannot change. If you can change it, don't accept it. Change it. Have the courage to change it. But if you cannot change it, then have the courage to accept it. So you either have the courage to not accept it. I don't accept this. I do not accept this diagnosis. I do not accept this moment. I do not accept this whatever. I'm going to change it. I don't like my relationship, my job, the money, my life. I'm going to change it. But if you cannot change it, then just accept it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the only way to transform a situation. Again, that what you resist persists. Kicking it to the curb only makes it come back for more. But it can be a really
right.
tricky. It can be a really tricky cycle. Hey, that person that feels victimized, then is like, I'm never going to go out of the house again. And, so it perpetuates itself with victimization because the next time they walk out, something happens. And it's probably a bad off the cuff example. But the truth is what you've gone through really did happen, and allow yourself to go. You have to go through it to get over it. You can't just wish it away. But what I found, Sean, I probably spent 40 years depressed. I was an energy vampire. I sucked the air out of the room and the life out of my friends. My best friend quit me after my, fifth suicide cry for help. I've been through. I was 7 years old when I took too many aspirin and knocked on my parents' door and said, I'm scared. I was so scared. And it took them a while to answer. And what I got through the door was go back to bed. They never came out. That was pretty devastating for a little kid. Wow, you really just don't. I was right. You really just don't give a damn about me, do you? And so those cries for help along the way, it's very difficult to feel like you have anything to offer. What's the point? What's the purpose? Those are like the worst questions you can ask in the world because there is no answer. You get to decide what it is. But if you feel, completely buried by the BS that you've been fed, it can be hard to realize that there's anything else,
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. So where do we go from here? I want to talk about real quick. What's with the Rice Krispie treats? You made better Rice Krispie treats than you did great. Like, what is up with that?
It's so true. It's so true.
I feel like there's a reason behind that.
Well, you know what? If I look really deep, so I was failing out of my classes one by one. I wanted to be a chiropractor. It makes sense to me. I was in school. It was pre-med, but I wasn't ready. I really wasn't ready for those classes. And so packing on the freshman 15 in 3 months, it came from Rice Krispie treats and whatever else I could cook because I was lonely and I was scared. But I made some killer Rice Krispie treats, which got me some attention, which is probably what I was also desperate for. I'm like, where the party at? I want to have some fun too, man. This college thing's heavy. And so, I did make a lot of Rice Krispie treats. And then I failed out of my 5th class, which was organic chem, and I waved the white flag. And my dad said, come on up to Rhode Island where I'm at, and I have time to be a real dad for once. And so I went, and realized that he realized that I have a gift for cooking and for entertaining. And I was like, Dad, I really want to go to film school, Dad. I really want to go to film school, not food service. No, but you always have work. I'm like, yeah, have you ever worked on a line, Pop? It's awful. I don't want to do it.
Oh, yeah.
But I had to.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I spent the first 4 years of my life in the restaurant business. I started out at 14, riding about 2 to 3 miles down to the Greek restaurant that was down the street. It was about, it had to be at least a good 2-3 miles because I remember riding my bike for a while. and I started out as a busboy. I was just bussing tables and washing dishes, at 14, after school and on the weekends. And then one weekend, they were like, "Hey, can you work the evening shift? You can work because it was a 24-hour. It was like this is in Michigan, like a hole in the wall, like diner, like the diner. So, I got to cook once because the actual cook went outside to go for like a smoke break, and he's like, "Hey, watch this and do this and whatever." Like, okay, I've never even worked with this guy before. I'm like, all right, how hard can it be? So I'm just doing what he told me. And he comes back in. He's like, looks good, man. So then like a couple of days later, same thing. We're working again. He comes up. He's like, you want to learn how to cook? I'm like, hell yeah. So I learned how to cook. So I was doing, I was dropping fries and chicken strips, and I was making certain dishes, and I was doing this other thing. And that led to me getting a job, helping out as a short order cook, and then I was expoing in a restaurant, and then I was like, and it just kept going from there until, I joined the military. And then even in the military, I was like, still learning to cook and still doing some things and still messing with recipes. And like, I don't know. I just love it. Like, I'm going to own a restaurant or a bar and grill at some point in my life. I love the industry.
Wow. You have to be a certain kind of animal to work behind a line and still like it.
I don't know. I love it.
If I hear another ticker tape come out of a machine, I'm gonna hurt somebody. I hate it. I worked in catering for 25 years when I first got out of culinary school. Yeah, actually, see, I thought, all right, Dad, I have to do this, huh? Okay, so I'm pretty good with a glue gun, and Martha Stewart was pretty popular at the time. I thought, well, maybe I'll give her a run for her money, because I'm still fascinated with film and television and radio. That's really where I want to be. But, my dad's wanting to equip me with some real skills. And I thought, well, okay. So I ended up in catering. I was a private yacht chef for a while, serving.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought that was going to be my Jimmy Buffett lifestyle, man. I was playing Whitesnake. Here I go again on my own. And my little brother's like, go, sis, go. Have a great time. Got on the yacht.
Awesome.
Did not know that I was going to get seasick. I was the seasick chef, man. It was horrible.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. The intercoastal is great, but when you hit the open water, man, it was horrible experience. Yes, indeed.
No, that sucks.
So not my Jimmy Buffett lifestyle.
Yeah. So Northern Exposure, I remember that TV show.
Yeah, it was. I didn't even own a television at the time, and I realized I needed to get one real quick because of the people that were showing up at the window. I don't know. I didn't know their names, and my boss was like, "That's all right. That's humbling if you don't know the star's name." Okay, then let me get a TV. So that, yeah. But I'd like to tell you about what happened. Just that I ended up in Seattle. From Florida, I bought a one-way ticket to Alaska. I'd had my bags packed for 20 years probably, because I used to pack them when I was 7 or 8 years old, and I was going to run away, make them feel bad for treating me so badly. And then I realized they probably wouldn't care, so that was bad plan. Like, what am I going to do, sit in the woods for a couple days? No. So, but anyway, 20 years later, I sold everything, bought a one-way ticket to Anchorage, and I didn't know what would happen when the plane landed. I just knew that I had the stunning culinary arts degree, freshman of the year. Wherever I go, surely there will just be, angels singing, she's here.
Yeah.
Right? I don't mean I was that full of myself. I just knew I had something that mattered, and that was this bachelor's and this status. So anyhow, I'm on the plane. It's a long ride, by the way, from Daytona to Anchorage. And I had a 12-year-old next to me. And of course, we got to chatting. And she said, so what are you going to do when the plane lands? And I said, I don't know yet. I'm not real sure what to do. And she goes, well, my dad's a doctor in town, and we've put people up before. Maybe we could talk to him about it. And I was like, yeah, that's great. Let's go meet your dad.
Jeez.
So I accompanied her. I'm 26 at the time. I accompanied her to meet her dad. And he's like, yeah, sure, you're welcome. And I was like, great, let's go. So he took me to his house, and something in me was restless. Not uncomfortable, like he was fine, but something in me was restless. And I've learned to trust that. That inner, that still small voice, which can be still really small. But it was an urge that said, no, this isn't quite the place. And I was like, okay, well, it got me, out of the airport. Now what? And I said, sir, where do people go when they travel? And he said, the youth hostel. I said, the what? The what? Can you spell that? Use it in a sentence. Hostel, hostel. Have you not heard of one? No, sir, I haven't. I have never done this before in my life. Oh, well, let me take you there. You'll meet lots of adventurous types. And I was like, great, great. Let's go. My Pippi Longstocking lifestyle was coming to life right before my eyes. I was thrilled.
Awesome.
He got me to the youth hostel, and I recognized someone from the airplane I'd been on. That's how quick this turnaround was. And I said to the gal at the desk, put me in her room, please. And so I pried this gal for information, got on the train with her the next morning because she said, I have a job in Denali National Park. I've got a summer job, and I'm heading up there now. I was like, great, I'm coming. Freshman of the year. Dun, 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 dun. Right? It's a long train ride up to Denali. Got through the line in the personnel office, and and what's your name? And I told her, and she's looking down the list, and she goes, I'm sorry. You're not on the list? And I said, no, I haven't applied yet, but I know in food service there's always a need for good talent. She said, well, that's nice. Right? But no, all the positions are filled, and we won't know for a couple of weeks who is a no-show. So why don't you just stop back in? I was like, wait, you don't just stop back in to Denali? It's not closed. You don't just stop back in. Do you realize where you are? You're in the middle of nothing. Right. I just stop back in. We'll let you know. Next, and I got pushed out of line. Wow. By the way, she said the lodge is full and you don't have employee housing. Good luck with that. Next. And so, sensitive little peach that I am, probably pretty scared too. I backed away from the line, tears streaming down my face. And one guy walks up to me and he says, I heard what just happened. Because I grew up to be a people pleaser. I couldn't jump through enough hoops fast enough, right?
Yeah.
So I'm blubbering through my tears, like, that's really good. I'm really happy for you, man. Like, have a good night's sleep. I don't know what I said, but I was all like, good for you, bro. And he goes, no, that's not why I'm telling you that. I wasn't bragging. I'm saying that I have a place to sleep and I brought a tent, and you can borrow it. And I was like, really? Like, I have a place to sleep tonight? And he goes, yeah, you can borrow my tent. Oh, man, thank you. Can you show me how to put up a tent?
Oh, jeez.
So we went out into the main area and put up the tent, and I slept on top of all my clothes. I brought what I thought, was, life had been whittled down to a duffel bag. And it was hard to sleep on the books and the CDs. The high heels weren't comfortable either, but I slept on top of everything else I owned. And in the morning, opened the tent flap, and across from me were a couple of Australians, and these Aussies were a kick in the pants, and we hit the road together. And what I learned on that trip, Sean, was a life-changing experience, one after the other. But mostly what I learned is letting go of those things like the high heels, the books, the CDs, which became not just a physical, it was my 70-pound problem. It's like, God, this bag is heavy. Yeah. Let the heels go, let the books go. Is that the more I let that stuff go by the wayside, by the roadside, the more open my hands were to receive in the moment I needed something, and not until. Right. And there was no vision board. There was no law of attraction, manifesting, intention, nothing. Life took care of me like I'm still blown away by how things showed up as they needed to show up. And that's the faith I like to instill in others, is it always works out. I mean, you wouldn't still be fogging a mirror, would you? It always works out. How about if we do some intentional creatorship this time instead of by default?
Huh?
And
good idea.
Yeah. So,
very cool. Very cool. So what I want to do right now, I want to give an opportunity for the listeners, if they have any questions for you or myself about what we're talking about, you can call us up, 657-383-1109. Again, the number, 657-383-1109. What I want to talk about before we close is your podcast, Big Movers or Bold Movers and Shakers. So tell us about your show. How can they find it? What's it about?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So you can find it on 6 platforms, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and so on. It's actually on my website, thealexisray.com, has all of the different platforms. And that fell in my lap, Sean. I really didn't expect to platform my interviews this time. I really didn't. I was watching someone else's, and Anchor FM, which is the host of the shows, you want to be a podcaster? I'm like, okay, sure, I guess. And I kept waiting for the shoe to drop, and it didn't. It was like, it's not, you mean it's totally free? I'm like, cool. So, yeah, so this thing is becoming its own baby, and I'm thrilled. I love interviewing people. So bold movers and shakers, interviews that rock the boat. And these are people who have, right? Anyway, they have decided to make some kind of, baby step to a bold move. And what's interesting because of the people, it's a wild variety of people. And what's interesting is that this caliber, if you will, these achievers like you, others, don't even recognize that it's a bold move. It's the feedback from other people that say, damn, dude, that was amazing. I can't believe you did that, girl. Whatever it is. It's the feedback from others. For us, it's like, of course I bought a one-way ticket to Alaska and never looked back. I ran away, yo. And, don't think anything of it. Of course I made it. But to others, it's remarkable. And I like to share those remarkable stories and promote what they're doing right now so that their big yes can come to life. And also to offer an angle that they don't normally get to share, like a focus, like, tell me about how bold and badass you are. Yeah. So bold movers and shakers is also an aspect of a bold move or bold movers. Bold moves, how have I stumbled on my own Facebook group? Oh, well, it's in the show notes. And what I found, Sean, people don't lay in bed thinking, I need to make more bold moves. But what I realized is that examples of people leaping over a precipice actually do inspire. And stories change lives. And stories of changed lives really can make a difference in one person's life. So that's why I do what I do.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. So thank you for sharing that. And your show available on iTunes and wherever.
No, it's not. Not yet. I haven't even tried. It's honestly.
Really?
Yeah. No, I haven't tried. No. I'd love to say that. No, I haven't.
Put it
tried.
on iTunes.
Yeah.
That's where 62% of podcasts are listened to is on iTunes.
All right. All right, I'll do it. I'm really excited about having it. Okay, I'll do it. It's on Spotify, which that's my favorite app in the whole world. My hand is on my heart right now. Like, I love Spotify, and I get to see my show on there. What?
Yeah.
And I also do video.
Think of it this way. So think of it this way. So 62% of podcasts listened to on iTunes. Spotify, there's an enormous amount of listeners on Spotify, which is great because Chartable, if you go to chartable.com, you can actually see your analytics from Spotify. Like, they go in depth on where you rank, and you go to Chartable, which is CHARTABLE, chartable.com. You make a profile and you submit your RSS feed, and it will actually track your RSS feed and your listeners through Spotify. So that's great. And then you have to have your podcast on TuneIn because Alexa pulls from TuneIn. So if your show's not on TuneIn, then Alexa's literally going off right now.
I figured it was going to happen. I was just waiting.
Yeah. I was like, wait, what was that? So Alexa pulls from Spotify. Alexa pulls from TuneIn. So if your show is not on TuneIn, then she can't pull your show. So if I'm sitting here asking her to play Bold Movers and Shakers, they're probably not going to find it if it's not on TuneIn. So there's certain platforms you have to be on simply because of the function of the platform. So iTunes, because everybody listens to shows through iTunes. Spotify, because Chartable pulls your analytics from Spotify. TuneIn, because that's where she pulls from, right? If you have the Echo Dot. And then Google Podcasts is pulling from because on the Android you have Google Play Music. And that is how I literally don't have any podcast apps on my phone except for Himalaya, because I can get paid through the Himalaya app, which is great. If you didn't download the Himalaya app, do that. But Google Play Music, because I'm an Android user, I use the Google Play Music and I search all my podcasts through there. I don't have to download another app.
Nice.
But I have Stitcher downloaded just because I like, just to make sure that I'm not missing any podcasts. Sometimes they're not on Google Play. Most of the time they are. But I just go to my Google Play app and I say, hey, I want to listen to this podcast, and then it downloads for me. And there you go.
Well, then you can download Bold Movers and Shakers, Interviews That Rock.
There you go.
I'm on Google Podcasts. So
perfect.
But thank you. Yeah, no, I've taken notes, man. You're always so helpful.
Thank you so much.
No,
thank you so much.
No, thank you.
So let's wrap this up. I want to do a shameless plug. You can plug your friends, quotes, websites, Facebook, whatever it is that you want the listeners to know and to do. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Be your own guru. You can become an enlightened, self-aware, confident, clarity-driven professional or personal, whatever development. It all accelerates by realizing that you have it within you. And that's a class that I'm teaching. So I'm really excited about that. It's an opportunity to share every shortcut so that you don't have to take 40 years like I did to find your smile. So there's my shameless self-promotion. I really can't wait to help people to be their own guru.
I love it. And go and subscribe wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. Go subscribe to the Bold Movers and Shakers with Alexis Ray. It is an absolutely incredible show. Not because I was on it, but I just love the flow of the show. And I always listen to a couple episodes before my turn. And I loved it. I love the questions. I love how deep it goes. So, I love the stories behind the stories. That's the type of podcast I like. I like the stories behind the stories.
Me too, Sean. And that's what I did, except for Cougar Talk Radio, which was a singles comedy show. The story behind the story, and giving an opportunity to others that are doing amazing things. There's so many incredible people out there. Gosh, to be able to feature that story behind the story is just absolutely a thrill. And thanks for helping me plug my own show. I've never done it.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Oh, you're welcome.
So, with that said,
yes,
you already told people be your own guru. Don't try to be everybody else. Don't try to be everything to everyone, right? You obviously need to be something to yourself, but be everything to someone, including yourself. Right? Self-love.
It is about that, Sean. What I found is when I was buried in bullshit, I didn't know that I had any value, and I certainly didn't know how to love myself. And people were saying, well, you just need to love yourself more. And I was like, great. If you could show me how, that'd be great. Otherwise, stop kicking me while I'm down, because it's really hard to be here, curled up on the floor in fetal position for this long. If I knew how to get out of this, don't you think I would? Well, just to say to somebody, well, you know what you know. Well, they don't. They're buried, and what I want to do is help them layer by layer to realize, remember, and actualize the potential that they came here to manifest. And
love it.
So yes, that's how you can know what you know, and if you've had the crap knocked out of you, you don't know that. So,
right.
You're a victim of everybody else's opinion, what the world may think or not think about you. And it's a terrible ride. And it doesn't have to be like that. I'm telling you, I wish I had my manual back when I was suffering. But that's why we come here. We come here to hopefully make the way shorter, lighter, brighter, and happier. And I want to leave the audience with this particular, questions determine our so much of our world. You ask the right question, and you get the answer you want. Like Tony, I learned this from Tony Robbins. You could say, why am I so fat? Or you could say, how can I lose weight? And so I turn that around, and I encourage people every day to say this one thing. How can I have more fun today than I ever thought possible? And it doesn't matter if you believe that can happen or not. It doesn't matter. Just ask the question. And at the end of the day, if you remember, because you've been having so much fun, take a look back and you'll realize that question was answered. And when you start doing that, you become lighter within and it shows up on the outside. And lighter, brighter, happier people are more likable, and they do better business deals, and they have better relationships, and they make more money, and. How can I have more fun today than I ever thought possible?
Right. I love it.
Yep.
Wow. Thank you so much for being an amazing, amazing guest on Life Transformation Radio. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest elevating the world around her. If anything resonated with you today on this episode, please contact Alexis Ray on Facebook and LinkedIn. They are in the show notes. Go look her up, Alexis Ray, R-A-Y. Her website is www.thealexisray.com. You can also go to www.promotionalangles.com. Connect with her. She's absolutely amazing. And subscribe to her show, Bold Movers and Shakers, wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. And also subscribe to this show, Life Transformation Radio, and never miss an episode. As we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.
Live boldly.